I think playing them in the last couple of years, just seeing how good the team was, how good the defense was. I think like the first last year when I played in San Fran, that was one of the craziest games I've seen. Like how the defense came and played, and they sacking, catching picks, and just causing havoc the whole game. So just I think that just kind of influenced my decision.
Matthew, then Kevin.
To clarify, Javon is how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's how you pronounce it.
Okay, I've heard a million people say your name, Javon. So welcome to Minnesota, Javon. I'm curious about just Jonathan Allen also signing here, your familiarity with him. How much familiarity do you have with also Harrison Phillips, Jonathan Grenard? Like, what have you seen from this defensive line that makes you excited about joining the Vikings?
Think I met Jonathan like a couple years ago at the Pro Bowl. We actually exchanged numbers at the Pro Bowl, I think when 2021. So I kind of knew him then, but I think with all them guys, they've been in the league for a little while, and I just respect their games. They all do a little something different, but I just know they all talented players and all great players, and I feel like to be my best to come out, I need to be around a lot of great players and a lot of good players too.
Hey, how are you from a health perspective? I know that the triceps last year and the surgery and all that. Where are you at with that? And are you going to be able to do most everything in the off season, or how will you approach that?
I think I'm in a good spot right now. I mean, I ain't about to go out there and punch and play football yet, but I came a long way, and I'm in a great spot right now with my tricep.
Welcome to Minnesota. I wanted to ask you about one of your former teammates becoming a teammate again. So, what makes Jordan Mason hard for defenders to bring down?
And he's just a hard tackle. He really know how to bring his pads. I mean, we learned in camp, even when Christian went down last year, like when Jordan filled in for Christian, we knew it wasn't gonna be no drop off because Jordan a pretty good back, real good back, and like I said, if you don't like the tackle, if you don't like that physicality, you're gonna be in for a long day.
Hey, Javon, when you look at some of the moves the Vikings have made in free agency, just what excites you about that in the direction the franchise seems to be headed in?
I just, definitely beefing up the offensive line and defensive line. I think everywhere I went, everybody emphasizes on the trenches. So you just see them making a real emphasis of just getting the trenches, getting deep in the trenches. So that just kind of got me excited of being here because, like I said, in Philly, Pittsburgh, San Fran, they all believe in the same thing, and that's one of the things they believe in too.
So, what's your sense of what it's going to be like to be a defensive tackle in a Brian Flores defense? His schemes are usually a little different than what some of the other teams use, but obviously there's a big need for players of your skills and position. What's your sense of what it's going to look like for you?
Excited. I just know it brings a lot of success on defense. I'm just excited to get in and, like you say, I think he created a lot of one-on-ones for the inside and the outside guys by, blitzing and just switching things up. I think he just got so much things he do that helps everybody out on the defense. So I'm just excited to see and learn the defense and try to fit into the defense.
Hey, Javon, I was going to ask about Coach Flo as well, but I think you kind of covered it there with Kevin's question. I'll ask you about your nickname, though. I know obviously Gravedigger has that connection to your last name, but what were your thoughts when your college coach gave that to you, and how has it stuck?
I really didn't think nothing of it then. I did think it was a cool nickname when he made it. That's why I made it my Instagram handle. Like basically, I made my Instagram handle, and when Instagram first came out, when my college coach, my college D coordinator gave me the nickname, but it just kind of stuck with me. Everybody in college started calling me that, and then basically when I got to the NFL, it kind of just ran off, took off. So I just love it.
Javon, I'm curious about throughout your time in the NFL, just how your position has maybe developed. Maybe when you came out, you would have been considered an undersized defensive tackle, but now since Aaron Donald, everybody wants undersized defensive tackles who gets into the backfield. I just wonder how that's grown and changed during your time in the NFL, the defensive tackle position.
Yeah, I think, like you said, like when I was coming out, everybody was talking about, the big, tall guys. Yeah, but now it's just more so you see more people like me, more people like AD, the shorter guys. I think everybody kind of want to get somebody like Aaron Donald in the NFL. So I think it really don't matter no more. They just kind of look at the football player more than just looking at the size of the football player.
Javon, Matthew kind of stole my question, but how, sort of piggybacking off that, how would you sort of compare just the emphasis and expectation of pass rushing from the inside now in the league and to when you first entered the league and back in college?
I think it's definitely big now. Of course, you can tell the money done jumped up for the defensive tackles who can pass rush. But it's definitely emphasis. I think they are the quickest to get to the quarterback and can disrupt the quarterback. So if you got a defensive tackle who can pass rush and cause havoc, it's just, it's a good thing for the defense.
Javon, obviously joining Brian Flores and a strong defense was a key, but was there anything in the conversations that made you say, yes, this is the team I want to be with?
I mean, you could tell they just want to win. And like you said, it's just a lot of talent. It's a lot of talent on offense and defense and special teams. Like I said, I played them the last 2 years and lost both times, and feel like I was on great teams. So you just know it's a great team, and like they got a reputation in the league of how they run their organization, and that was kind of a big thing for me too. Just seeing everything, seeing the reports of how good they take care of their players. I think that's a big thing in the NFL.
Javon, we're going to get to know you, I'm sure, over the coming months, but I'm just curious about what you'd like Minnesotans to know about your personality. What do you do? What do you like? Do you have, off-field things that are of interest to you coming here to Minnesota?
Nah, I'm chill. I'm chill, laid back. But everybody keep telling me about the fishing here, and that's something I want to kind of get into. Country boy, growing up in a small town, all my dad, my grandpa, all of them fish. So that's something I kind of want to get into. So that's the big thing I want to do here.
Javon, just one more for me. You mentioned like playing against the Vikings a couple times and being impressed by the team. I'm just wondering your thoughts on US Bank Stadium, kind of the atmosphere there, and what you're looking forward to about being on the home side of that.
I'm just ready to hear the drum getting beat and hear the score chant, and I'm real excited to hear that horn being blown before the game. I think that was one of the hardest things I've seen in the NFL, especially pregame. So it's gonna be kind of dope to be on the other side of it and being able to hear it every week at home.
Javon, what would you say is the number one trait that you and Jonathan Allen have as defensive tackles that can impact the quarterback, unlike a lot of other defensive tackles?
I think we got experience experience by playing so long, but I think we both disruptive. I know from Jonathan Allen, just watching him when I was in Philly, seeing him twice a year, he calls Hovac in the field and make a lot of plays, and he know when to take his chances and when to make them plays.
I'm just a huge fan for one, like a great team, great organization. I just seen the Vikings had a great season last year. Huge fan of Brian Flores. I always, looked up to him and noticed his work from afar when I was in a Massachusetts area, New England area. So, I felt like it was like kind of like a no-brainer.
Yeah, hey Isaiah, congrats, man. First of all, just what was last year and being a part of that run like? What did you feel like you learned the most from that Fangio defense?
Just really just understanding how to be a teammate. You know, with me being out a year and coming back and playing ball again, just learn how to be a good teammate. You know, on and off the field, no matter what your role is, being prepared. You know, being ready for when your moment comes. And I think that showed me a lot last year. You know, the role I had last year and being a part of that great organization over there and coming out with a Super Bowl. So great experience.
Isaiah, what did you sort of take away from the year that you were away from the game between the Colts and the Eagles, and how do you sort of apply that to your career moving forward?
I think the first thing I realized is, for one, the league doesn't need anybody. I say that's the first thing I realized, and realizing that the league was still going on without me, I'm like, wow, nobody really, cares. So I just knew that whole moment was something that I needed, and me sitting out a year and coming back and knowing that nothing matters what I've done in my past. It's all about how I respond and knowing that I'm just trying to change the narrative of my name, change, my future. So, continue to build my story up.
From a physical standpoint, did it take a little bit of time to ramp back up last year, or were you able to come in sort of football shape?
No, I was good. I was football shape. I was prepared. I was more excited than anything. So, even if I wasn't in shape, I was just too excited to be back. So it wouldn't even show.
You mentioned observing Flores' defenses kind of from the outside. What are you most excited about being on the inside of that?
Just knowing what type of person he is. I heard a lot of good things about him, but finally being able to actually be coached by him and understand his highs and his lows and what ticks him off, what he loves about players. So little things like that. Just getting to know him as a player, as a coach. So, not just so from the outside and just scheme.
Hey Isaiah, welcome to Minnesota, to the Vikings. I'm just curious with obviously he's not a corner, but with Harrison Smith coming back for a 14th season and being in that DB's room, just what do you think you can learn from someone who's been in the league for that long, and just maybe what have you admired about his game from afar?
I think that kind of explained my whole career. Just I always had a veteran in the room. I started my career off with Xavier Rose, one of Harrison Smith's best friends. So I used to always see Harrison on FaceTime with him. So he don't even know me, but I've been knowing him since 2020. But those type of guys you want in the room, those type of guys like 14 years in the league, just being able to stay healthy and ball at a level he's been playing at, all Pro Bowl years and things like that. Like, just want to pick his brain and understand what the things he's doing off the field to, reach it to that type of level of accomplishment. So I'll try to pick his brain.
Isaiah, I know you said that you want to change the narrative. What did you learn about yourself during that time? And does that kind of go hand in hand where B-Flow also wants his players to find joy? Do you find more joy in the game now?
I appreciate it for sure, definitely. But I think the main thing with me is throughout that year, I kind of stepped away from football and try to understand who I was as a person. So I just focused more so on being a great son, a great father, a great partner. So I think that was my main thing. And then finally getting back to the game, it was like it all just was a missing piece of the puzzle that I needed. So I just had to find myself as a person. I get to enjoy football now.
Isaiah, from a scheme perspective, it seems like the Fangio and Flores defenses are pretty different. Just the amount that Brian likes to blitz, things like that. What is your, I guess, assessment of how different the job might be going from working with Vic to now with Brian?
Like you said, he loves the blitz and things like that. But with the team we have, I'm all for it. So blitz all day, it saves time. You having to cover. And I trust his scheme. I trust his strategy and everything he has going into game plans, and I trust the guys that he built in his room. So I'm ready. I'm looking forward to see.
Yeah, Isaiah, I was wondering if you could talk about a little bit about what happened in 23 and what as teams, Eagles last year, Vikings this year, what did they ask you and what did you tell them about kind of guaranteeing that you can be relied on?
I think in this league, it's not really about what you can tell a team or tell a coach. That's just it's all up to the team because you can send out emails and tell everybody how in shape you are and things like that. But it's all about faith. I feel like Eagles took a chance on me. They had faith in me to come in and be in shape and things like that. I sent out a year, and Minnesota also has the same faith in me as well to be able to come and grab me and and have a role for me, whatever that will be. just understanding that, they're putting their trust in me just as much as I'm putting their trust in them. And I know it goes hand in hand. So I don't think there's too much more I can tell coaches and staffs and things like that. Because a lot of people can say what they can do, but it's all about actions.
Isaiah, what do you think your ceiling is as a player?
I don't know. I know it's high. I'm still going. I'm still young to me. I'm only 27 years old, and in reality, based off playing, I'm really 25. So I still got a lot more to build. I'm trying to, bring Lombardi to Minnesota. So ready to get it going.
A little bit of a two-part, but did you reach out to Xavier during your evaluation process? And then what do you think about linking up with Byron Murphy?
I reached out to Zave about pretty much about Minnesota after everything. 'Cause I kind of wanted to, make a decision on my own and not really go too much off people's experience. But reached out to him. I reached out to Stephon Gilmore. He was on my team as well in Indy. So, I got a little Vikings connections here. So they said nothing but positive things. So I think it was a no-brainer.
And then have you linked up with Byron a little bit? Yeah, get that text chain going.
Yeah, but we thought we were supposed to. He was getting sushi when we got there Friday, so I think sushi was more important than our friendship. But I'm kidding. But I was supposed to see him when I did a little tour and things like that the day I signed. But we got a lot of days ahead of us.
Isaiah, I'm sure you're aware the Vikings have not won a Super Bowl. Now that you have, what does it take? What is that experience like to win the Super Bowl?
I never won one as well until I did, so I think that's my motto going into here. It's not about what happened in the past, and everybody has their own story, so it's time for us to write our own with this 2025 roster. That's the first thing. I think it just takes a team. Everybody has to come together. It's going to take a lot of pride that people have to put to the side and understanding that we all here for one thing only. So it doesn't really matter too much what everyone has going on the outside or how your day going. And at the end of the day, we just got to come here and put in the work, and it's not going to just be handed to us. So it's going to take a lot of work, but I think we're willing to put it in.
Isaiah, you mentioned Stephon Gilmore. What do you feel like you learned most from him? What impressed you most about him?
Just he's so fluent still at his age. Being a corner at this age, a lot of people don't really have a lot of confidence in you, but he's still going. He still can play. He still can ball. And I think that's kind of the same thing I kind of compare it with him and Harrison Smith, just being able to go out there and still play at a high level. And it's not like it's different if you're in the league for 14 years, you're just in the league and nobody really knows what you're doing. You're not really putting too much out there because you don't really have the body to do it. But they still going. So those are the type of guys you definitely got to, stay in touch with.
How long did the Super Bowl tattoo take?
It was about 4 hours.
Okay. Worth the time commitment?
Definitely. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put the next one at though.
Isaiah, I gotta ask, I think it was your son that thought the snow in Philly was bubbles. So did he like it? And did you tell him we'll probably be seeing a lot more bubbles in Minnesota?
I ain't even tell him, but I've been switching over because he's all he knew was Eagles. So now he's running around yelling Vikings, Vikings, Vikings. So gotta teach him to scold. He's just just a kid, but he loves the thing with that bubble video is he didn't even see the snow the whole game, even though it was a snow game. So he finally came out of the stadium because he was inside the little daycare. He finally seen it and he just instantly liked bubbles. So it wasn't scripted. It was a one take. So, I'm glad he went viral. So good for him.
Oh man, I don't even know where to start. First and foremost, we'd like to thank the Wills ownership group, Kwesi, the GM, the head coach, Kevin O'Connell. Man, so many people to thank. Super excited to be here. God, what a coach you guys have here. And I'm just really looking forward to inserting myself in and helping this organization and team win. Yeah, great culture, great team, great coaching staff. And I'm just so excited to be able to get up there and get started and get to work.
Hey, Jonathan, welcome. I'm just curious. It seems like the process came together pretty quickly for you joining the Vikings. Just what was that like for you, the kind of whirlwind, and what made the Vikings such an attractive location for you?
Yeah, so once I was told by the Commanders that I wasn't going to be re-signed, me and my agent put together a list of 5 things that were important to a city. How great everything was for the wives, for the players' families, obviously salary cap, team success, scheme, coaches, and honestly, culture. I think to have a good team and compete in the next level, you got to have a good culture. And at the very top of that list was the Minnesota Vikings. So once I found out that there was a mutual interest there, I mean, I told my agent Blake that, I mean, unless something unforeseen happens, I mean, let's go all in, let's go for it. And, you know, I always like to say, if you have two people who are level-headed and want to accomplish the same thing, you'll get a deal done. So, yeah, we were able to get something done relatively fast and get this whole process over with so we can get started on the next chapter.
Jonathan, congrats on being here, man. How much crossover at Alabama did you have with Ryan Kelly? And just, I don't know if you've gone against him, but what is your feeling about him being here now with you?
Yeah, no, I think I went against him for 2 years in college. 2 or 3 years, I think 2. He was a little bit older than me, so obviously I had to learn the ropes when I first got to him. Man, I mean, when you talk about, obviously we know what he can do on the field, but off the field, him and his wife are just great human beings and great people. And when you have a guy like that for a quarterback to be under center with, it just makes everything so much better. So I love him.
Yeah, John, I was just curious about the injury you suffered last year. By the time you got to the playoffs, were you pretty much where you normally are, or were you still kind of less than 100% at that point? And where are you at now?
Yeah, no, when they went in for the surgery, it wasn't as bad as anybody anticipated or as bad as the MRI shown. And I would say about 10 to 12 weeks, I was already benching 85% of my max before. So once the playoffs came around, I was pretty much healthy. I mean, the only thing that I had to really try to get back in was football playing shape. I mean, no matter how much you're doing the Stairmaster or running on the underwater treadmill or the treadmill, there's no way to simulate playing football. So from a health standpoint, my pec was completely fine. It's a non-issue.
Yeah, Jonathan, I was curious what you and maybe the number one trait that you think you and Javon have that allow you to impact the quarterback from the defensive tackle position, and also how does that translate into a Flores defense?
Yeah, I think in today's football, when you can have defensive tackles who can play the run on first and second down, and then on third down, stay on the field and get after the quarterback. And, you know, I know we all like to look at sacks, but if you can provide interior pressure with guys like Andrew Van Ginkel and JG on the outside, it just makes everybody's life easier. We're getting the quarterback off his spot. We're forcing throws high, forcing him to miss his target. So I think when you can add that element of interior pressure from the inside, I think that just helps the defense out tremendously.
Jonathan, you're part of a really big commitment by the Vikings for the interior D-line, the interior O-line also addressed. What kind of ownership do you think you veterans coming in will really have on adding to what was a successful team and building on that from those areas?
Yeah, no, whenever an organization brings you in and pays us the way they have, I mean, there's definitely a lot of, I don't want to say pressure, but I put a lot of responsibility on myself to prove them right in a sense. I mean, you know, they don't give contracts like this easily. So I think for me, my job is to go in there from day one, prove my worth to the fans and to the coaches for believing in me and just go out there. And one thing I can always say is you're going to get everything I got, good, bad, or indifferent. So I'm looking forward to being able to go out there and just help this team continue to be the successful, dominant defense it's been.
Jonathan, I'm curious about how different schematically you think it might be. Maybe, you know, you haven't had time to dive fully in to that, but just going from working with Dan now to Brian Flores, you know how creative Flores can be. Like, what have you seen schematically and where do you feel like you fit in?
Yeah, no, when you look at a guy like Coach Flores, man, they refer to him as a mad scientist. I mean, some games will be in a 3-4, bringing pressure off both ends, and some games we're switching it up. So, you know, every week being in that playbook is a big key. But I really like how he's able to create space on the inside and allow, you know, guys to get one-on-ones. And when you get a one-on-one in this NFL, you got to be able to win those. So I'm looking forward to just fitting right in and, you know, doing what I can to help out.
Jonathan, kind of a two-part question. First of all, I know it's B-Flow, but when you look at the other guys, the names on defense, you mentioned Van Ginkel, you know, there's Harrison Smith coming back. When you look all across defense, did it make you salivate like, I want to play with these names? And number two, people throw around the word culture. What is the most specific thing about a culture that you look for as a player to come here?
Yeah, no, when you have the defense that's been successful as they have in these last couple of years, it's definitely enticing to want to come in there because I feel like I can help out and I feel like I can help just help out in general. So, I mean, it was definitely exciting to have the opportunity to pair it with some of these guys and with this coaching staff. And, you know, as far as culture, it's not something that you can tangibly touch, but you can feel it. You know what I mean? Like when something bad happens during the game, you look at the sideline for guys' reaction. And I think it becomes pretty evident of a good culture and a bad culture and how different players and different people react during certain situations in the game. And I'm a firm believer of it's really hard to win games in this football league. I mean, if you look at it, it can probably come down to 5 plays a game. And I think culture has a huge part of when those certain plays don't go your way, how do you respond? Because it's easy to turn one bad play into 2 or 3 bad plays, and that could be the difference in the game. So also, the NFL is tough and it's hard, and nobody wants to come to work every day in an environment that is just not upbeat or no one's excited to do the job. So, I mean, that was one of the biggest reasons why I chose this place. I mean, I know Coach O'Connell from my time in Washington, and I mean, I think his reputation speaks for itself. And when I look at what he's built here, it's something that I want to be a part of.
Yeah, Jonathan, what were your impressions of Kevin in Washington? I know it was a little while ago, and he was on the other side of the ball. But what what did you learn about him during that time?
Man, when you look at a guy like Coach O'Connell, I mean, I think he's just the prototypical head coach that the NFL looks for nowadays. A young, offensive-minded head coach, brilliant ideas, refreshing, reinvigorating, not doing just things just because that's the way they've been done in the past, but really bringing in his new ideas and new elements. And I mean, I love the guy. I didn't spend too much time with him when I was in Washington. I was a rookie. I mean, I was just trying to keep my head on straight. He was on offense, I was on defense. But from the times I've interacted with him and talked to him, I mean, I thought he was an awesome guy. And then, you know, for him going from there to the Rams with Coach McVay and just knowing how that whole tree is, I just know a lot about the guy more than on the field, especially off the field.
Hey, Jonathan, Javon mentioned it, but the Vikings kind of have a reputation, their organization around the league with the NFLPA report cards and things like that. I'm wondering like what you knew about the Vikings organization and how much that kind of thing matters to players.
Yeah, so my agent and my financial advisor are both based out of Minneapolis. So I'm usually up here 2 to 3 times a year. And, you know, going into this off season, I definitely wanted to take my family into consideration. I'll probably say it was between 20 and 50% of my decision. And when you look at year in and year out how they're graded, I mean, when your wife and your family is able to have a great life and be included and be involved in so many things with the community, it definitely makes that decision a lot easier. So I definitely say it played a part for sure.
Yeah, Jonathan, Javon did mention that you guys met at the Pro Bowl. I was curious what your thoughts are on his game and how that complements you guys in a Brian Flores defense.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, when he was on Philadelphia, I've always looked at him as not my rival, but my competitor. I mean, I think every guy in this league is competing with the top guys in their position. So for us to be able to line up and play with each other, I'm super excited about it. I mean, obviously, you know what he can do. He can rush the passer from the inside. He can take on double teams. He can play the run. And I'm looking to help boost his game and vice versa. And I really think that we can go out there and do great things. But again, it's early. I mean, it's March. No games are won in March. So right now we're just trying to put the work in, trying to get as acclimated as we can as soon as possible. That way when OTA start, we can, you know, hit the ground running. But, man, we're really excited to be here.
Would you say that Flores defense turns you guys loose inside more, or I mean, you guys both have a reputation getting to the quarterback, getting sacks. Is this going to enhance that, or is it different enough to do that?
I definitely think it will. I think it's multiple factors. I mean, Coach Flores is one of the best in the game. I mean, when you play guys beside guys like Van Ginkel and JG, I mean, it just makes your job that much easier. So it's definitely going to be exciting. Don't want to promise too much because we still got a lot of work to put in, but just excited to be here and get started.
Hi, Jonathan. Welcome to Minnesota, to the Vikings. I'm just curious. I know that you've shared before kind of along your journey about your relationship with your dad and his impact on you. I'm curious, like, how much his influence has played into just your outlook on the game, whether it's the culture, how you approach the game, etc.
Yeah, no. Thank you for having me. I would say my dad affects me in more ways than I could probably really, count. Like through the good and through the bad. Through the good, he keeps me level-headed, and through the bad, he never lets me sink too low and just mentally helps me stay on a straight and narrow. I mean, God, man, I talk to him after every game, after every practice. So he's definitely aware of what's going on day to day for me. And he's just there to help encourage me and continue to push me. And honestly, between him, my wife, and my older brother, they're one of the three major reasons of why I am who I am right now.
Jonathan, those visits you made up here, they were in the summer, probably, right? Not necessarily the winter.
So it's funny. Actually, I came when the Super Bowl was there.
Oh,
and it was
okay.
like -14. So I've come up twice in the summer and once in the winter, usually every year. So I know the winters could be pretty brutal, but I mean, my wife's from Champaign, Illinois. I spent some time in Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, so it might not be as cold as here, but I think I'll be able to manage the weather.
Okay, one more. The experience from last year for you guys going deep in the playoffs. I mean, just what did that mean to you after a lot of years of grinding?
It meant a lot. It meant a lot. I mean, it was, in a weird way, I was so excited for the fans to be able to be excited about something and root for something positive and not always be the butt of the joke in the NFL. And it was just such an incredible experience. You know, obviously we weren't happy with the way it ended, but man, I wouldn't trade last year in for anything. And, you know, I'm looking forward to this upcoming season.